to be very honest with you, sometimes what happens is whenever these kind of restructures happens, you know, um, whenever private investors take over, restructuring often follows.
Sure.
And Kevin, uh, according to you, what kind of internal shakeups do you think EA's 13,000 plus employees, I'm talking about 13,000 souls, employees might face, and how does leadership prepare teams for that kind of uncertainty?
Yeah. So, all right, this one's probably gonna lead into other things, but 13,000 employees. The first thing, when I jotted down the 5-year return estimates, the first thing I wrote in my little scratch pad over here was, year one. Well, of course, nothing year one, but by year two, to get a 5% growth in year two, it takes a little while to get some traction. So my notes, I just wrote these are generally savings from operational cost synergies, right? So this is the beauty, or it depends on which side you're on. It can be considered a negative, but one of the things that makes these PE deals work for these aggressive returns is, okay, so it's Silver Lake and Affinity. Well, I don't know anything about Silver Lake, but Affinity has got their hands in dozens upon dozens of different things. I think that it's Jared Kushner's thing, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
But it's so they've got lots of businesses, which means right now today, Electronic Arts has got a full everything. They've got a huge HR staff, including all the recruiters and everything else. They've got a huge IT team, not even tied to the gaming piece, right? Just tied to things like, managing their CRM and their ERP and email and all the internal things. They've got janitorial staff. They've got everything. I don't know, a million different things. Huge marketing team. I imagine
Exactly.
billions of dollars in marketing. Well, as they make this connection with Silver Lake Infinity, Silver Lake and Infinity have these things. So you're going to immediately sit down, right? And this is, I don't want to go on a tangent. They're going to immediately sit down and say, okay, within this, what do we have that we have redundancy on? And there's going to be a lot, right? So you're going to probably, and this is all guess, I don't know the makeup of these companies of Silver Lake and Infinity. I don't know the makeup of any of them really. But, assume that they're going to say, well, all right, we already have a hub for HR. We have a hub for IT and security. We've got a hub for marketing. These things are fully developed. Maybe we keep a couple of people from those teams to bridge the gap, but we're not going to need, maybe they've collectively got 100 different companies, under their umbrella. Well, you don't need 100 different HR groups and 100 different marketing groups and 100 different, so at some point you if you're going to do a good deal, and anybody that can afford $55 billion to put into this is obviously knows what they're doing. You're going to start to combine those things. So I would expect, if you are in a support team like the ones I've listed, that, and you're not in an absolute critical role, you're definitely shaking in your boots right now, as you should be, because very likely there will be substantial cuts. They don't tend to happen in the first 2 weeks, but it's pretty fast after that. So I would say before the end of the year, well, I don't know when the deal closes, but let's say it closed today. Before the end of the year, I would think you would probably see, of those 13,000, a couple thousand would be gone. And they may hopefully they'll offer them packages, severance, and so on. But even within that, it's not ideal. I mean, that's the downside of doing this, is you almost always I don't think we've ever seen a major, you know, M&A situation where you haven't seen substantial losses. So that's certainly coming. What's scary, and those folks certainly are aware of it, although they're probably not being told that yet, but I'm sure they're aware of it. The sort of next layer that is of concern, we talked about a little bit already, which is, you know, you have their platforms that are not there. So they're big money makers. You're not going to see a lot of cuts. The guys working on Madden, you're not going to see, you know, FIFA, you're not going to see big cuts. Maybe some, but I wouldn't say anything too aggressive. But all those smaller ones are going to, while they won't get cut right away, I promise you, they are already being scrutinized right now. Before this thing, they've been looking at them. Do we need it? What's the potential? And somebody, and I'm not saying this is a good or a bad thing, because in the big picture, if I'm on the buying side, I agree with it. I want my return. That sucks that people get impacted by that, but that's how it goes. So, you know, so they are undoubtedly already looking at coming to an agreement. Okay, we'll keep this layer around provided they can produce X in this time frame. If they here are the cuts that are going to, I mean, this stuff should be mapped out, right? So electronic arts today, if we can fast forward 18 to 24 months, the odds are that 13,000 of the exact people that they are is probably something more like 8,000. And probably not exactly the same 8,000. There's going to be a lot of change. Some of that is through, you know, them stipulating that these positions have to go, and some of that is through the response to the employees. So if it is handled like, sadly, most of these things are handled, you're going to start seeing within 6 months of completion, you'll probably start seeing substantial morale issues, much higher turnover rate, and you know, and now you're bringing in a different group of people, and it's just, your whole culture is going to change. Well, the culture is going to change, but I think that's going to drive it, and that is just the unfortunate reality. I do want to say it can be avoided. It never is, but it can be avoided through, you know, all the stuff that all our other, you go back and look at all the podcasts you and I have done together and things we've talked about, through all that stuff. So absolute transparency and communication, and actually giving a damn about your teams and talking to them, engaging them. You know, the private investment, private equity folks here are likely to never meet the employees. They're not going to know a thing about them personally. They're not going to have relationships with them. That's part of the model. It's just statistics. It's just, are the numbers right or are they not? Who's doing it? If you're not getting it done, swap this person out and so on. And you know, as we've talked about many times, how I personally feel about that is, I think that is, it is a sad avoidable loss. And generally in these situations, I think it is, I'm going to say, in my opinion, it is the number one mistake that gets made over and over and over again, that you don't ensure. I would rather see the private equity folks say, I want to know who is driving culture post-merger, who is driving employee retention post-merger. What's that going to look like? Maybe we bring in some experts, you know, bring in some people to guide this, because the lack of that translates to all kinds of bad stuff. And unfortunately, my opinion is this is going to be the same as so many other, you know, cash infusions where you're going to see that level of negative outcome.